Welcome back to another episode of Spittin and Chattin. Lane, how you doing today?
Man, I'm good, man. Been excited about this one, bro.
Yeah, this is going to be another good one, another hot topic, as we always say. It's
Yep.
kind of a follow up or a spin off from last week. We talked about angry black men, so it's only fitting that we do our angry black women.
Mm.
So this is going to be something we're going to dive into, and we know it's going to be probably a lot of thoughts and feelings and emotions that may come out of this.
Yep.
So just put all that energy in the chat and just let us know your thoughts. But let's go ahead and dive in. This topic is very loaded and it's a big buzzword just in our
Yeah.
community. We hear it a
Yeah.
lot. And kind of as we talked about, we really are here to crush that narrative, that really negative,
Yeah.
stigma that comes from that. And one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up, Lane, as I normally do, is what I'm about to say right now might set some people off just because maybe you
There you
haven't
go.
done a little research or don't really understand the history.
Yep.
But you ain't black. So stop calling yourself that. Now I know a lot of y'all probably like, what is he talking about? Right? What is he talking about? Well, let me give you a little information. You can do your own research. I got books on it. Most of the world knows this, but apparently most of us don't. I just recently learned this information a few years ago after kind of digging and researching myself. But the English word black has its roots in Old English, specifically the word Blake, which meant dark or ink. This in turn can be traced back to the Proto Germanic word blackas. Now, this indicates that the initial meaning of black was not tied to the concept of was tied to the concept of burning or being burned, leading to the idea of darkness or color or spot. So I point that out. First of all, this is not our word as a culture. This is a European Germanic word. So let's just
Wow.
put that in perspective. You do your own research. Don't be writing me. Don't be trying to argue with me. This is history.
Right.
Another part of it says in the 15th century, the Portuguese used the term Negro, meaning black, to describe the Bantu people they encountered in southern Africa. This term derived from the Latin word Niger, which is a river. It's a river in Africa. So nigger is a spinoff from the river Niger, which basically means black, and possibly a Proto-Indo-European root for to be dark was used as simple description of skin color. Over time, particularly during the era of slavery and colonization, the term black took on negative connotations used to justify enslavement and associate dark-skinned people with immorality. So the reason why I'm so passionate about this is just I always do a lot of research just on my own. I love history,
Mm-hmm.
but most of us have been kind of programmed to accept certain labels, and black is one of those labels. I actually looked at like my grandparents' birth certificates. I have them. I have my own birth certificate. So we went from color to Negro to black, and now I think it's African American. None of those are an actual nation on like where we come from. And I mentioned this last week. If you ask any other people like where do they come from or how do they categorize themselves, they're gonna say, well, I'm from Denmark, I'm from France, I'm from Venezuela. They're gonna tell you a country. They're not gonna say I'm black. We're not a crayon. So
Yeah.
I'm putting this out there just because this is part of the first piece of kind of dropping off the labels of like black and angry.
Right.
These are almost like kind of cursing ourselves with terms and labels that have been given to us.
Right.
So, how you feel about that, Lane? What's your thoughts on
Man,
that?
just what you said in the beginning to start off about the narrative, and this is about reflection. We putting it out there because you hear about it from the internet, you hear about it, when you go to the barbershops, you go get your hair done, that term angry black man or angry black woman. Well, just like how we talked about how angry black men, hey, we got to do better, in certain situations with how we react and how we carry ourselves. And for women
Yep.
who are watching this today, this is about self reflection. Don't be pointing the finger at Zane. Don't be pointing the finger at Lane. It ain't got nothing to do with us. We're just bringing this issue to the forefront. But based on what you said about our history, it's important for our community to know where we come from, to know where we're going. Our
Yeah.
history is all over the place, and a lot of us just don't know where we come from. It's important to teach that to our kids as well, because, like you said, they just say, "Hey, where you come from?" I hear it all the time. They say, "I'm black." What? What does that mean?
Right.
But we depended on the schools to teach us our history, which they're getting it from, a certain person here, teach them this. That's
Right.
how we learned our African American or our history where we come from is from some school book telling us. But a lot of us just need to do our own research.
Yeah. And a beautiful thing about it is, I mean, everything's at our fingertips. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So we really don't have any excuses like back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
where we maybe had to go to a library or whatever. I mean, everything's at our fingertips. So just as quick as we can get on YouTube or
Yeah.
scan through TikTok, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we can get some real history and some real
Yeah.
information just at our fingertips. So,
Zay, I
yes,
got
sir.
something I want to show you, man.
All
And
right,
when you
let's
see
do it.
this, just tell me what you think. Just
All
watch
right.
it. Tell me what you think.
I'm
Yeah.
pulling.
She just hit my car. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Why are you so mad? 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 Why? Why are you so mad? Why are you threatening me? I'm just trying to get to work. I'm just trying to get to work.
We got the hell up out of there. What you think about that?
Man, that's bad. That's bad, man. Just witnessing that. Man, I don't even really have words. It's just sad. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's just sad that that obviously fits the narrative, right,
Mm.
of what is put out there as the angry black woman. But we know
Right.
there's something behind that. Like,
Right.
how did she get to that point?
Right.
That's really I guess the thing that we have to get to the bottom of is like, why are our women hurting so bad
Right.
to get to that point to
Yeah.
where she felt emboldened to, for one, address a man like that and was willing to get out of her car. Like she looked
Right.
like she
Yeah.
had no problems. If he wanted to go toe to toe with her, it looked like she had no problems doing it.
Right. Right.
And to me, that's a sad state that a lot of our women are in,
Yeah.
and just as a society. How do we even get here? Like,
Right.
and that's just sad. And
Man, just
I'm just tired of being the brunt of the joke. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because people are laughing at that, but I mean,
Yeah.
when you really think about it, it's sad.
Yeah. It is sad. And at the beginning, you see she hit the car with her fist.
Right.
Man, do you know how much anger you gotta have to hit you? She hit a moving car. Like, and when you say, how did she get there? It's not talking about, we ain't talking about whatever altercation she had with that guy. Maybe it was a
Right.
little fender bender. She cut him off. He cut her off. Whatever. We're talking about from her childhood to present. How
Right.
did that happen? And
Right.
she was willing to go toe to toe with the man like that. And then what you think? What happens if he hits her? You know what I'm saying? And this ultra just like heavy masculinity that some
Yeah.
women have, and nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
And but like you said, where does that come from? I know a lot of women just have real emotional ties to a lot of past relationships. You know, when they got the short end of the stick. Maybe their
Mhm.
childhood was not good. Maybe obviously their fathers weren't present. I know that's a big part of this is that there's an absence of fathers in a lot of our homes, and
Right.
teaching your young men and your young women how to respect the opposite sex. You know, for her to go like that, like she's thinking she's on even strength with him, and I mean to hit the car first, I mean that's something else, but
Man.
to go toe to toe with him and curse him out like, yeah, I'm gonna just wipe you off the earth. You easy work,
Right. Right.
come on, how did we get here? Where
Yeah,
did
man.
this come from? And like I'm sick of it too. Like angry black men, angry black women. You hear more of the angry black woman. And I'm tired of hearing of it. I'm the first one to say, hey, not all women are like that. Not all
Yeah.
black women are like that, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we know that for sure, that they're all not like that. But
Yeah.
when people look at certain actions, like when they look at this lady's actions, hitting that car or coming at that man like that, they're not thinking of just her like that. They're thinking of our community, our race of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. That's how a lot of people think about us.
Yeah.
When you walking around and you present, rather if it's a thug image or you're a woman hitting a car like you the Incredible Hulk, they
Yeah.
thinking all of our men and all of our women are like that. So it's
Right.
important for a lot of us to know like your actions are a reflection of our community. And people don't think that. It's like, you presenting that thug image or whatever angry stuff you got going on. All the other races and nationalities and communities, like, yep, see, that's how they are. That's just how it is. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that point that you just made is I mean the reality is we just need to put the truth out there is that
Right.
most women are not like that.
Right.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? Just like most men are not angry black men.
Yeah.
But of course, what's going to be highlighted are those like scenarios right there where it's the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Now don't get it twisted. It is increasing. You know what I mean? We are seeing it more.
Yeah.
The angry black woman syndrome, whatever you want to call it, an
Right.
angry man scenario. But when you probably put it in percentages, it's still probably very small. It's just
Yeah.
being publicized, and that's the narrative that
Yep.
the world sees, though.
Yep.
You see
It's
what I'm
only a
saying?
few.
It's only a few, but if it gets on video, then it's like then that subscribes to everybody, from
Yep.
other people's view.
Yep. It's all of us.
And that's why we're really trying to crush this narrative, just by speaking more on it because again, we trying to get these elephants out of our house, out
Yeah.
of our community.
And
Man,
what do
it's
you
just
think
sad.
about like talk to certain women or you go on the internet or any kind of, podcast, you hear the talk about dating and marriages, and then you hear from black women the talk of interracial relationships
Hmm.
and how, you see some athletes or entertainers, when they get success, they date somebody else out of their race, which is fine. Who you love, that syndrome. They don't want to deal with that narrative because, like you said, one apple spoils a bunch, but that's how they see all of us. That's how we see ourselves. We see
Yeah,
one man or one woman act like that. We think the whole community is like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not my preference,
Yeah.
but I mean that is the reality. There are a lot of brothers that are just going to different, cultures and
Yeah.
quote unquote races just because they just tired of dealing with a lot of stuff that comes with, our
Right.
community.
Right.
And that's a lot of brokenness.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm noticing. It seems like, I mean, there's just so many, you know, broken women instead of whole women.
Mm.
Whole meaning, that doesn't have as much trauma as like
Right.
other
Right.
cultures do, and or don't have like these kind of tainted views like, I'm not submitting to him, or who do you think he is? He ain't, he or
Right.
there's just all these like negative kind of, I guess, views that we're seeing on how our women kind of view like authority from
Yeah.
our men. And
Yep.
in other cultures, they don't even deal with that. That's just
No.
like that's life. They respect each other's contributions. They respect each other's values.
Yeah.
On what the man brings, on what the woman brings, the husband
Right.
and the wife. And so they don't deal with a lot of the things that we deal with, in our cultures, and in that
Yeah.
breakdown. So while
Yeah.
while a lot of our sisters may not like that, is still a reality on, like you said, self reflection. Are you brother away because of like your attitude,
Mm.
or just how you talk to him or how you disrespect him?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it. If he feels
Yeah.
like he's going to get more respect from somebody else, it is what it is.
So
You
be it.
know,
Yeah. Man.
that's one of the things that does take self reflection. As men, we got to reflect on how do we be there for our women? How do we help them heal? How do we
Yeah.
support them? But from the women's side, they got to look at their stuff too. Like everything ain't roses and smell good on that end as well.
Yeah. Man. That's when you think about, I mean, I watch a lot of the stuff on the internet, and I feel this way too. I'm sure you too. Black women know black men. They know what you're going through. They know, men, we
Hmm.
have it hard in society, especially black men and men in general.
Yeah,
We know we talked about on other shows where men are more prevalent to mental health issues. And we need the women from our community to be there for us. And they understand us. We have that chemistry with them.
yeah,
We have that
yeah,
instant connection.
yeah,
Like other people, it may be a little difficult to understand you and understand what you're going through and where you come from, but we know each other,
yeah,
and it's sad that some men just be like, you know what? Hey, I can get that somewhere else. And they intentionally do it. I hear it. And when I hear why, it's like, you can't even like, you just got to, it's like, man, I understand. And, like we said, not all black women are like this. We know that it's a small bunch, but,
right,
one or two that's out there, that's what everybody sees. And
yeah,
that message just gets spread about our community.
yeah. Yeah, so when you that video that we all watched, and I'm sure millions of people have watched and laughed at, if a brother has to deal with that at home,
Mm.
I mean, and this is nothing against that sister because she's hurting, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
But I'm saying
right,
from a brother standpoint, if his choices are that and someone else, we're going that way.
right,
I mean, it's just come on. I mean, I think
right.
most people would agree if you're just being honest.
I mean, that is not even attractive.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Man,
Oh,
when everybody has their moments where they get upset, but man, if you willing to throw a blow at a man, like, wow.
yeah,
Outside of something like self-defense, you get mugged or robbed,
yeah,
man, don't do that.
yeah,
Don't do that, sisters. That is just so, just for everything we fought and died for our communities, to hit a man like that. It's like, come on, we got it bad, you know, from other places, and we come home to get hit. Man, can you imagine what her dude is going through? Like, I'm looking like,
man.
man, what dude is with her? Like,
Right.
wow. I'm sure somebody is, but man,
It's somebody for everybody, but that don't mean
right,
it ain't toxic. You know what I'm
man,
saying?
yeah,
That don't mean it ain't toxic. And I'm glad you bring that up because there's a lot of I guess cases of men that are being abused
Yeah.
And of course, most men in their own pride, if they get
Right.
whooped up by they lady, like they ain't gonna be reporting that to nobody. Like,
Nah. Nah. Nah.
how, I mean, that's embarrassing for a man. So,
Right.
I mean, but think about all the cases that are probably going on behind closed doors that, they don't get reported, or this
Right.
man just suffers in silence, because
Right.
of either the verbal abuse or the physical abuse. And that's something else that's I'm sure that's going on in our community that needs to be addressed and talked about
Yeah.
more.
Man, no man is going to report that, or he's going to lie and say, "Oh, I bumped into a wall, or I was playing basketball."
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
why is your eye red and black like that? What's going on with you, bro? And
right,
you know, guys will lie to cover that up because what'll happen. You strike her, and hey, you have a
right,
bad day or whatever, or you get tired of it, you go into
right,
jail.
right,
It's you go into jail, and they're gonna call you OJ and all that stuff, but you are out of there. And for some
exactly.
women, like you said earlier, they putting this queen thing on top of it, and not there's no respect for men in our communities, in our house. A lot of it comes, man, from this like narcissistic attitude.
Mm,
Like what you say,
talk about that
how
one.
you feel
Hmm.
does not matter. It's my way or the highway.
Mm,
I'm running this. I'm the queen. I'm in charge. I'm a black woman. You don't matter. That is just like a pure 100% narcissistic attitude.
yeah,
And, a lot of women and a lot of people in general don't want to go get their tune up, like we call it. They don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
address their mental health issues. Why do you have
right,
relationship issues?
right,
Why do you have issues where you want to hit a car and want to beat up a man? Something's
right,
going on. Something happened in your childhood, but you're not dealing with it. You're not dealing with your mental health. But this narcissistic attitude, man, I don't even see like Michelle Obama like that. I mean, I don't know her behind closed doors, but she
right.
seems just super friendly and really nice. And man, I know I was kind of disappointed. Like during her run as presidency, I thought she should have did a lot more to help our communities, to help our women. Pull them
Mm,
closer to educate them about going to school, about doing better for your life, carrying yourself in a more dignified and respectable manner. Because a lot of this comes when there's conflict.
yeah,
How do you resolve conflict?
right.
I'm sure her and Barack have their times, but I don't think you're gonna see her punching a hole in the White House trying to get to Barack. Not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Or
Not gonna happen.
at least they covered it up pretty good.
Yeah, the Secret Service covered it up,
Right.
but
But
I just
yeah,
don't think she's like that.
right, right.
And I thought she should have did a lot more for women in our community. But we're just talking about a few of them. It's not all of them that are like this, but this is the image that is portrayed about us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we have daughters, so
Yeah,
it's like who are they looking up to now?
yeah,
Who are the women that they look up to? Of course, they have their mom, right? But
yeah,
I'm talking about outside of the house, like who are the women figures that they can like inspire to be and be
yeah.
proud of, like to follow behind of. It's just it's a sad thing when the examples are like, quote unquote celebrities,
Hip
that
hop
are just,
wise.
yeah, showing all their goods and just,
Yeah,
and like you said, the whole narcissist, it seems like it's a movement right now,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. It's
yeah,
just, if your mindset is really like, I don't need a man, and I'm the queen and I'm the prize, well, you're gonna end up sad and lonely at the end of the day.
yeah,
You might be getting all what you want right now while you younger or while you got a certain amount of money. But when all that dries up, you gonna dry up. And ain't gonna be
man,
nobody gonna want to be around that. And
man.
nobody gonna want to be around that. So it's just like we're trying to like help with this all this fake facade. Fellas do it too. That's so
Yeah, yeah,
don't take it personal unless it fits,
yeah,
but the reality is, you know, you're gonna be old and lonely if you continue with that mindset because
Yeah.
we need each other. Like I'm putting it out there. Like we need our women and our women need the man. That's
Right.
just the reality. It's the balance. Like
Yeah.
that's how it's designed.
Man, that's I don't know where this came from either. And it is like a movement. And I'll tell you a story. My daughter, my older daughter, she was having this little issue with this boy in her class. You know, little boys, they tease, you know, when they like a girl and stuff like that. And they may, you know,
Hmm.
get up under their skin. And, you know, at certain ages, girls are maybe bigger, stronger, faster than boys until they kind of develop. And
Hmm.
she was like, you know, he's getting on my nerves, and you know, but I can beat up a boy. And man, I checked that behavior right there. Like, no, you never put your hands on a man. I said,
Right.
you know what a bus looks like? A bus full of people. So we go down the street, we can see a bus go down the street, and you see a
Hmm.
small car, and if they collide, who's going to win?
Hmm.
That bus is going to win. I said, you never put your hands on a man. And I said, I tell you this, if a man puts his hands on you, you come tell me, you come tell your brothers, you tell the police. I
Yep.
said, and that goes from now until when I'm in the dirt, you come tell me. And if I got to take a flight across the
Mm.
country to deal with him,
Yep.
or I got to get on a bus myself, I will do it. But
Yep.
they know not to get in no conflict with no boys. Like, I'm not having that.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
Mm,
Anything that goes down, you know, basically we coming for you when it comes to our daughters.
yeah.
That's just no nonsense,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's
no
no,
toleration.
I might not even care about my freedom after that,
Right.
because the thought of me not being there for, you know, the women in my family, that's
Right.
scary. You know,
Yeah.
that's scary. I want to protect them because I know they don't stand a chance against a man. And think about what you were saying earlier about how some women are not really being self-reflective, and you can look good, you can have the best hair, you can have the braids that are looking good, you can have the body, you can have the
Yeah.
money. But
Yeah.
if you got a foul, narcissistic attitude
Mm.
and you don't know how to treat a man, yeah, you'll catch one, then you'll lose one. You'll
Yeah.
catch one and then you'll lose one. There'll be no stability in your life with relationships, marriage, family, none of that, because of your narcissistic attitude.
Yep. Yeah. It's just destruction is the only thing that's gonna like be at the end of that road. You know what I mean? One way or another. And so really doing that self reflection for all
Yeah,
of us is important. If you just think you it and ain't nobody else matter, that just doesn't end well.
right.
It just doesn't end well
Yeah.
at all.
Man, what do you think about this talk you hear? And it's the hot talk in our community. I know we've said it during the show, this I'm a queen, you know, all that narrative. And it's just
Yeah.
like, when I hear it, I just like, here we go. It's just a little bit embarrassing. And it's just like, where's your king at? If you a queen, where's your king at? Who's your king in
Right.
your life? You
Right.
know, let's
Right.
talk about that. How are you treating him? How is your relationship with your king? Because
Right.
a good queen always had a good relationship with her king. Let's just, you know, when you
Yeah.
think about that, you ain't gonna see no queen going at a king with her fists or with an axe or nothing. I don't know what they
Right.
used back in the day, but
Right.
they didn't do that.
Right.
They didn't do that. Even
Right.
from where we're from Africa, queens respected African kings.
Yep.
Like, if you think they didn't, come on. Like, you
Yeah.
lying to yourself. So
Yeah.
much as you want to promote this queen narrative, you know, let's look in your life and show, hey, if you're royalty like that, what does it look like? How is your king being treated? Let's talk to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you get a guy alone and you really talk to him about his relationship with his significant other, man, you hear the truth.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. And, you know, it may not be the same what you hear when they're together, but when he's alone, man, he's spilling it all out there. because he's suffering.
Yeah, for sure. And this whole narrative of the queen, and here's the thing: there's truth to it, but do you really need to self promote it?
Yeah,
Like you said, if your man or your husband is calling you that and promoting you like that,
yeah,
then it's on point. But if you
yeah,
walking around just self promoting yourself as such, then it's probably a little twisted, right?
yeah.
Because I mean, true kings and queens don't have to walk around promoting themselves. You
Not
know
at
what I
all.
mean?
Not at all.
That's who you are. You are royalty. The people that need to know who's royal, they know, right? So you don't have to do. I don't think that prideful like this is me. This is who I am. Like I'm a goddess. No, you ain't. So how are you at home?
Right.
That's the real deal. Like, we can care less about the things that's said in front of other people or out in
Right.
public.
Right.
For us, the real queen is at home and how things are really behind closed doors.
Right.
Because we can all fake and shake and put on a good picture, right? In front of a crowd or in front of everybody else. But we both know what's going on at home.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been in a relationship longer than 3 weeks and you living together, like the
Yeah.
truth. So,
It takes work, and it takes
yeah, it
work from
takes
both
work.
people. And sometimes you got to get some outside help and be honest with yourself to make it
Yeah.
work. But
Yeah.
man, I was thinking about growing up. One of my favorite shows was The Cosby Show. And I used to
Yeah.
like Good Times too,
Yeah. Of course.
whatever. But if you look at the structure of their family, rather, that one was, pretty well off, the Cosbys, and
Yeah.
Good Times, they were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Man, everybody knew they role though up in there. Moms, respected the
Yeah.
dad if he was a doctor or if he was a guy that couldn't get a job, that was always losing a job.
Yeah.
That wife always respected him and treated him with honor when he came through the house. Because
Yeah.
man, out here in life, man, we got it bad. We deal with all kind of stuff.
Yep.
When that man came home, he was angry, he was mad, but his wife just soothed him. She just
Mm-hmm.
made like, man, I'd rather be at home than be in the world with all this mess. Like when you
Exactly.
have a man that feels like that, like he'd rather be at home with his wife, with his family, man, you are doing it. That
Yeah.
guy's not gonna run off. He's not gonna want to be, at the pool hall or whatever with his friends. He's gonna want to be home with his wife because of how he's treated.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you don't got the doctor and the lawyer titles or whatever. It's, like you said, self-reflection and how we treat each other.
Yeah.
Because, like we talked about earlier, some guys would be like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. Let me just jump the hill,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's so true. Like that's how like where things are really at. Like, does a
Yeah.
man want to even be at home? You know what I
Mm,
mean? Is his work more important than his family,
right.
his lady, just being at the house? Because it doesn't matter if you're in a studio or a 5 bedroom home. That's the castle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're kings and queens, no matter what the size is, no matter how much finances you have,
Yeah.
if there's a level of respect for one another and a level of respect for your husband or just for your man, he gonna want to be around the house all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
He
that's
ain't
that's
going
his
nowhere.
that's his safe place.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
world's gonna beat him up regardless, but he knows when he comes home, that's his place of peace. So another
Right.
elephant in the room is, does your man, does he take on extra shifts because he don't
Man.
want to be around? Does he
Man.
like try to take on extra projects or try to, man, yeah, I'll fly there. Let me
Yeah.
go. Like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
travel to wherever I got to go to get out of here.
Yeah.
I
I'll
mean,
do
if
whatever.
yeah, if he's trying to get out the house more, then that should be a red flag. That should be like a self reflection.
Yeah.
It's nothing person's job that may pull them away from things, or they may just be
Yeah.
busy because that's the nature of their role. But if they signing up for everything, then you need to look at you.
Man, that's right there. Like if he doesn't want to be at home, you know, he's going here because you can watch the game at the house. You know, you can
Comfort
watch
of your
Monday
own
Night
home.
Football, basketball. You can watch it. I don't care if you gotta watch it on your phone. If
Right.
your life is happy at home, man, you'll sit up and watch that game on your phone versus being at a lounge somewhere, a sports bar with a big
Yeah.
screen TV,
Yeah.
because you're more happy in your environment at home.
Yeah.
But when there's, turmoil, when there's conflict and, unresolved issues, man, we just want to leave. We just want to talk to the fellas and, hey man, this is what I'm going through. And, but
Yep.
we don't want to be home. And when a man doesn't want to be home, ladies,
Mm.
I mean, we all know that. You know what I'm saying? And but like we said, this is about self-reflection. Am I pushing him out the door?
Mm.
Or am I putting him in the bed in his seat? Think about that.
Whew. You hit on something real hot right there, because if think about it, if you're pushing them more out the house,
Ooh.
then you're setting them up for traps that are in the
Yeah,
world.
man.
So, if he don't want to be at home, and even if he's inviting his friends over to the house, that's how you know it's a good situation. Like he just wants
Yeah,
to kick it.
yeah,
He's gonna want to hang out with his boys.
yeah,
It's not an issue there, right? Even if he's going out to get some wings and
yeah,
things, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But if that's the norm where he just wants to get out the house and he's in a sense being pushed out, then you can't really expect there to be any great outcomes from that. If he's
yeah,
away from the house more than he's at home,
yeah,
because somebody is going to try and meet that need. Now
yeah,
that ain't something he should just be accepting, but I'm just telling you the reality of men being in this world and having to deal with these traps and all this other stuff that's out there.
yeah,
So something again just to self-reflect on, like, am I pushing him out or am I drawing him in
yeah,
closer?
yeah. Because for men, temptation will come at your weakest moments when you're down, when you're, going through problems and, maybe you're depressed and,
Hmm.
or whatever you got going through. That's when the devil comes out the most and your
Hmm.
guard will be down. But, you're always out. There's more likelihood of that stuff to happen when you're always gone somewhere to watch the game or,
Yep.
at the gym, all day, all night. I see
Yep.
some guys when I go, it's like, man, did you even leave? Like you stay there.
Right.
Like I go a lot. I know I do my thing. Boo, I'm gone. But some guys, they
Right.
just stay in there. They sit around, they sit outside, they talk, and 4 or 5 hours, some of them are there. I'm like, geez, like, you
Yeah.
know, but I get it, man. They don't want to be home.
Yeah. And think about it. Just, I mean, we're talking about a basic scenario, but it just gets progressively worse,
Yeah,
because think about it. You can go anywhere and you can watch the game, you can get some chicken wings and fries, whatever.
man.
But that kind of escalates.
Yeah,
You may start off at Wingstop and then you ended up in a club a couple years down the road. They buy their wings and they probably got the
yeah,
TVs too. So
yeah.
I'm just saying,
You get
like,
something on your lap too.
it
Yeah,
it just it just gets progressively worse, and
yeah.
that's what you don't want. You want to be able to make sure that you are keeping your man at home and not setting him up, because
Right, right.
that's kind of what's happening when he doesn't have that support that he needs, that relationship that he's yearned for. You know what I mean? That's what a queen is,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And Queen, that house, that home, that happy home, man, I don't care what the man is, who he is. That happy home is a reflection of that woman, if the home is happy or not. Nice, productive, fruitful house. That's a environment made by that woman or that wife, not the man. I don't
That's
care how
true.
much money he makes or what he does. That
That's
home
true.
environment is made by that woman.
That's true.
And I don't care how big the house is or how small it is. A happy place is a happy place. But
That's true.
man, this is about, like we said, we saying this all over again. Self reflect,
Yeah.
self-reflect. If this ain't applying to you, hey, so be it. But look at yourself. Really, really analyze yourself and be honest. Be 100.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we we're about to wrap up soon, but this conversation is I'm sure everybody could take a little bit from it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Relationships are hard work, and especially when you put a ring on it, it's even harder. You know what I mean? Let's just keep it honest. When you put a
yeah,
ring on it, there is that commitment should be solidified.
yeah,
And when things ain't working, they ain't working. And we got to get back to, again, breaking down all these labels that other people have put on us and stop labeling each other,
yeah,
stop calling each other out their names. You know what I mean? So self-reflection is really what the call of the hour is for,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
for the men and women. But we want to break down this angry black uh, narrative because it's just time. Like we're past that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So let's start the healing and let's talk chat more.
And it's really about elevating our people. And if you're a woman, elevate your man. That man being happy, like I said, that's a reflection of you, not his
Hmm.
job, not his size. He put on some muscle in the gym. That happy
Hmm.
man, he's being treated like a king in the house. And if your man ain't happy, man, I'm not saying that it's all your fault, but what are you doing to try to elevate him?
Yeah,
If he's having his moments when he's down or he can't get off the floor, how are you picking him up? And that's something that's lost in our community is helping each other out, picking each other up off the floor. We're so like, oh, that's on you. You do your thing and then hey, keep it away from me. Well, that's how stuff gets toxic.
man.
And that's what we're talking about now is how do we get out of this?
Yeah, yeah. So we got a lot more to come
Yep.
and a lot more to chat about. So please, if you like this, this content, definitely put your thoughts in the chat. Like and subscribe.
Yep.
We're still learning, we're still growing, and we appreciate you, tuning in each week to get into our conversations.
Thank you for your support. We'll see you guys next week for more content.
Stay tuned.